Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for joining from wherever you are. I am DC Padur. I am a product manager in the SharePoint team and very excited to talk about the connections and SharePoint experience. I introduced that as the main topic, but what it literally is the latest SharePoint intranet features. If you are the top of your intranet owner, the comms manager, you're going to love this content. And I have a bunch of slides, and then I'm going to do a quick set of demos. And Vesa, keep me on track with the time. I don't have access to a clock here somewhere. So if I'm running over time, just feel free to interrupt me. Let me walk through this. Even if I'm going really fast, the recording, you can pause and listen to it slowly. The big update here is that Viva Connections, the product known as the Viva Connections, is now going to be SharePoint. And the important reason we're doing this is Viva Connections has always been a part of SharePoint, and we had sort of taken out the core value proposition of what Viva Connections is and put it inside the Teams app. So essentially, Viva Connections was your employee engagement experience within Teams, even though it was powered by SharePoint. There was a lot of confusion with the story of how customers can unlock this value. So we've decided to just call it all SharePoint. So the Viva Connections app will now be called the SharePoint app in Teams, and which performs essentially the same function. You have an intranet in SharePoint that you've curated and deployed. You could then bring that same intranet into the Teams experience using the SharePoint app. And that's the big update right now. And I'll walk you through specifics of how this change is rolling out and what you can do to onboard to this. So why this rename matters, as I mentioned. So if you're using your SharePoint communication site for your internet, the first step you would want to do is make it a home site. And then you deploy that intranet to Teams once you've marked the intranet comm site to be a home site within your organization. And it's all part of the SharePoint experience. Another problem with the Viva Connections is people assume that it's a different product space and it was not available to them, even though they had the SharePoint experience. So to clarify that, if you are already using SharePoint for your intranets, you can easily deploy it to where all of your people are working, all of your customers are working, which is in the Teams ecosystem. Now you have the intranet at the touch of a button within your Teams app experience. So now let's go back to what is a home site. A lot of home sites been around in the market in SharePoint for about 6 years now, but nevertheless, I want to reintroduce it. Home site is just the nomenclature for the top of your intranet. Sometimes the word intranet is used to refer to that one landing page and your entire SharePoint ecosystem, or even the entire digital workspace. But for this context, we are talking about that one page everybody goes to, that landing experience. And the site that is powering that is called the home site. That's your branded, customized landing page. So what then happens is if you already have a communication site set that is performing that function, you as an admin can go into the SharePoint Admin Center and then mark it as your home site. Now, why would you want to do that? Once you anoint that communication site as a home site, you have a bunch of extra capabilities that are available within that site. So as the CorpCom manager or the intranet owner of that top communication site, you get to go turn on a bunch of extra capabilities from that home site. Now let's talk about exactly what are those. Number one is the ability to have that intranet accessible from wherever in SharePoint. There is the new SharePoint experience with the new app bar that's rolling out. The top node in the information architecture of the SharePoint product is reserved for your home site. So once you have a home site, you turn on global navigation, and now you have a link to your home site wherever your users are in the SharePoint browser experience. The next thing is, as I mentioned, you have the global navigation available. You can navigate to important resources wherever you are within your SharePoint sites. But the last one is the most important, relevant one for this conversation is, hey, not only is your home site accessible within any site or anywhere in SharePoint in a browser, it is also available in the Teams application. As we all know, the pandemic helped ensure the position of Teams as the place where a lot of people just get work done. You start and finish with a lot of it becomes the operational the organizational operating system for a company, and that's where you want your intranet available as well. And to deliver that value, you then go set up a home site. Um, all right, so now let's talk about what's changed because of all of things. The one thing we landed was the name change. I want to begin with what is not changing. If there are customers, if you are all on this call where you are, oh, I already know home sites, I already have Viva Connections. Great, good to go. No interruptions to you. You do not have to take any action. There is no impact to you if you already have a home site, if you already have global navigation, if you already have a customized Viva Connections experience, no change to you. And that's the important message I want to land along with the new stuff that's coming. And we'll talk about what's net new, and I'm going to demo all of these things. A new resources web part. Why does this matter? Because for the first time, we're creating the idea of content reuse within a site. You can create a set of links, put it together as a resources web part on a page, and it's the same set of links that you can share across all the pages within the site. So it's a centrally managed list of links, and then you can make it a part of every page, every news post within the site. So you have a cohesive experience. And when you, let's say, have to go update the privacy policy link or add an extra link, you just make an update and it reflects everywhere in the web part within that site. That's the new resources web part. I'll do a demo. The new announcements web part, again, an important call out. This was part of a premium Viva license suite. And we have, with this announcement and with this rollout that's happening right now, we've removed that license requirement. Now announcements as a targeted micro news experience is available for all SharePoint customers. You can add it as a web part, and you can have targeted communication sent out, which includes a Teams notification for the audience that's been targeted. We'll do a quick demo of that as well. A new layout, a visual layout for the news web part. The last two things are also very important. I'm going to show you a config flow where you can take your browser-based home site and then configure it and figure out and make sure it appears the way you want in the Teams application. The SharePoint app in Teams is now going to reflect your intranet, and your intranet experience can be configured for desktop and mobile separately. And I'll walk you through the new UX that we are rolling out to enable that flexibility for you. And the last one is the creation and management of home sites is now available in the SharePoint Admin Center. It used to be part of the M365 Viva Connections module, but now we're bringing it back into SharePoint. So Viva Connections is now part of the SharePoint family. It is called SharePoint, and everything lives within SharePoint constructs. And there are minor improvements that are happening. The name change. If you have not yet configured the name of the Viva Connections app in your tenant, it will now be updated to be the SharePoint app. The default experience will carry the SharePoint branding. The global navigation plan will show the SharePoint name or your custom name as well. The dashboard see all experience, I'll do a demo of that. It now allows end user personalization. So end user personalization now is brought to the dashboard web part as well. And the mobile experience has some minor visual updates from a tab navigation to a pill-based navigation. Again, I'll do a quick run through of that. Okay. When you're listening to this or when you watch this video, slow it down. So I'm trying to fit all of my talking and my demo within the 15 minutes that's allocated for me. All right, I'm going to quickly run to the first step of this entire process where you set up a home site. All things start with having a home site first. For that, you come to the SharePoint Admin Center, go to the settings experience, you will discover an option for home sites. You click on that, and now you have an experience to either create a new site. If you do not even have an existing communication site as your intranet, the main landing page, you can get started with a new template that we've made available for this experience in the SharePoint Admin Center. This is a brand new template for having the home site set up. But fear not, if you already have a communication site, what you can then do is use it, choose the second option in here, just provide the URL of the communication site that you want to set. So I'm going to take this, put it in here. It's going to say, yes, I will go save. What this does is brings all the capabilities of the home site into that site. So now you will have the resources web part, you have the announcements web part, and now you can set the global navigation. You can also configure the Teams app experience for the SharePoint app experience in Teams. So in the interest of time, I'm going to fast forward to another demo environment where I have everything set up. So this is another demo environment where this site is the home site. And the way that you know that your site is a home site is you can go to the gears, the site's gear, and you will see options like global navigation and manage home site. This tells you that this site is the home site of your organization. So I'll quickly click on this and show you that I've enabled global navigation, applied a logo, given it a name, and I've enabled a navigation experience, which now will persist across all of your SharePoint consumption experience. Whichever site your end users are on, they have one-click access to your intranet and the resources available through the navigation. Next, I want to show you is this manage home site experience, which shows the SharePoint app for Teams. When you click on the setup experience, it brings you into a UX where now you have the mobile versus desktop. For people who are familiar with Viva Connections, you would recollect that Viva Connections was a very railed experience. You couldn't do too many configuration changes. And even for the desktop, you had to run PowerShell to not have the default experience. Now we've brought all of that into the UX flow. Specifically for mobile, you can, the fixed layout is what you all are familiar with. You begin with the dashboard and the news and the resources. Now you can switch to say, I want a custom layout, which then brings the home, dashboard, and news. And I've already applied this in my environment. So I'm just going to switch to this is a view of the mobile device, my phone, a phone link using my Windows application. So you can see that the Relic Cloud application, which is the rename of, I have applied a custom name to my what was called the Viva Connections, now the SharePoint app. I've applied a custom name and the logo that shows up in my mobile experience. And now you can see that it defaults to the same intranet home site. So the capability here is you create one site and you can have the same experience in your Teams desktop and Teams mobile. That's the outcome a lot of our customers had asked for, and now we have it available. You can have multiple options in the setup experience here. You can, move, have dashboard first. You can choose to have news first. You may apply these changes, and it takes about a few minutes for these changes to reflect. Okay, now I'm going to switch to a few other feature updates that we talked about: resources web part, announcements web part, and the layout. We'll quickly go through those as well right now. So I'm going in here. For the news web part, I'm going to show you. I've already applied a web part in here, and in the in the settings, you will see that there is a brand new layout called film strip. This brings the what was called the spotlight experience in the default Viva Connections experience, the carousel, but not with the fixed card, but variable size cards. And this was a very popular UX treatment for news and important updates. A lot of customers wanted it within the SharePoint sites. So now we've brought that functionality back into the news web part. So you can have that experience where you have this cool animated experience of rolling through the important news items within your home site, within the top of your intranet. The second one I want to demo is this announcements web part. As you can see, announcements was available only within the Teams application, the Viva Connections experience. Now we have brought it as a web part that you can add to any page within the home site in any single column, multiple column, and in the creation flow will also be available through the web part. The important thing I want to call out here is every announcement has an audience that you associate it with, which means that only those set of people will see the announcement, and they will also get a Teams notification for when that announcement goes out. It's a very effective way to get in touch with with the target audience and have targeted notifications going out as well. And I want to reiterate, this used to be what we would call a Viva premium experience. It's no longer the case. It's available to everyone with SharePoint. All right, the next one for a demo is the resource web part. Okay, I want to the resource web part here. The important thing I want to call out is you will see this is a shared data source for the same web part across the different pages within the same site. People who are familiar with SharePoint and pages, you will remember that all the web parts belong to the page. You add a quick links web part or any other web part, it's part of the page. If you add another page, you got to go add them all over again. So that's the content reuse experience that I'm going to that we are bringing with this resources web part experience. So just to show that, I am going to update this HR to human resources, right? Just made a quick title update to this resource web part in a different page. I'm just going to publish these changes. And what then we can see is, and now I'm going to go back to the home page of the same site where I have on the home page, I've added the same web part, and now it's reflecting the same change. This is to show that the data is shared across, data is a central location and it's shared across multiple, whichever instance of the web part in any page within the site. And the last demo I want to talk about is the dashboard web part. The dashboard web part itself has been around for a long time, where you can have the same dashboard that shows up in the mobile Teams experience and the desktop experience in Teams was available as a dashboard. And one important functionality that was missing is from the web part, end users were not able to do their own personalization. And we are fixing that by bringing it into what we call as the see all experience. So if you have a dashboard web part, your end users can click on the see all experience, which brings them into a focused view of all of their dashboard cards from which they can actually do the customize. This customize button is available to every end user, irrespective of their edit permissions on the site itself. This customization experience is available to every end user. So you can choose to hide a card, move the order, or even add your own card. And once you've done it, you save. Basically, this is your personal view of your dashboard as you want it. You've now added it, and now you can get back to the site. And in a couple of refreshes, you will see that the dashboard will reflect the personalization changes you've made. So to round up, went too fast. There you go. The bunch of new features coming in. If you do not have a home site, make sure to have a home site. And once you set up the home site, you can configure the Teams experience for the same home site using the SharePoint app. All of these features are in targeted release right now. If your tenant is in the target release, the entire tenant program, then you have these features available for you. And by the end of June, we expect to have all of this in GA. There are two IDs, the roadmap ID here and the AKMS URL on the screen, both of which can help you stay on top of the rollout and the new updates.